What's up everybody, I'm Mad.Ak.Max and welcome to my channel. Usually you see kit tutorials on this channel of actual kits that are used by mostly Russian special forces, which is what I'm specialized on. But today we're going to do a video game kit tutorial. If you're watching this video, you have probably heard about Escape from Tarkov, the super realistic head-eye simulator. One of the main goals of the developers is to create a very lifelike shooter and to be very realistic when it comes to gunplay and attachments. In Escape from Tarkov, you will encounter bosses, pretty much a video game boss, an NPC, AI, that is very strong, and one of those bosses is Knight, Death Knight. He is part of the Goons, which includes two other bosses, and the three boys, the Goons, roam different maps, and they make your life very hard. Your butthole, the Goons. So, before we take this kit apart, I want to mention that I will release the STL files for a lot of stuff from this kit that is 3D printable for you if you want to recreate and build your own Knight kit. As always, we start on the very top and work our way down to the bottom, and we begin with the cable dreads. I'd say besides the skull mask, the dreads are the most iconic part of this kit. And to recreate this look, it gave me a little bit of a headache. Battlestate held a cosplay challenge pretty much, and I won that cosplay challenge with the first prize with this kit. And in the very first version I went for actual cables for the dreads. And it turned out, well, in real life that sucks. So for one set of dreads you need roughly 11 meters of material. And if you choose cable, well, cable is incredibly heavy. Further, cables are stiff, they're not elastic. So if you move your head to the side, for example, and the cables get stuck in your plate carrier or in your shirt, for example, well, everything goes like... And on some cables, the copper part is actually exposed, and that can lead to injuries if you use real cables. Ask me how I know. So I was prototyping with a lot of different materials, and I found the best method is to use cotton strings. As I mentioned before, you need about 11 meters of material if you want to recreate the dreads in 1:1. So yeah, copper cable is quite expensive, especially in the diameter you would need for one of those caps. Of course, it's not actual cable, it is cotton, but that is something you can only tell on the second or third look. As I mentioned, I will release some STL files for my Patreons for 3D printing, and that includes the cap base. And it is a 1:1 copy to the original one, so each dread is in the original location. Further, I will release a kit tutorial, let's craft guide tutorial, where I pretty much give instructions on how to make this thing and make it look 1:1. So the next part we're going to talk about is also the most iconic, and it is the skull mask. So yeah, the skull mask is a 1:1 copy of the in-game model. It is extremely close, and for the texturing of the model I took closer looks on the original artwork that was released by Battlestate and gave it also the surface for the model. So this one is 3D printed and recasted into resin. So I gave the mask a paint job that is as close to the original as possible, with eye for the details and weathering and so on. In case you guys are interested in acquiring one of those masks, you can always hit me up on Instagram and I will build these on custom order for you. You can find more information about that down in the video description, including prices and shipping and so on. So let's move on to the plate carrier. The plate carrier is a Cry CPC, and you will probably also cry if you see the price tag on one of those, because it goes for about 1,000 to 1,300 US dollars depending on your location. So I bit the bullet and got a real one, but this one is used, and I actually got an incredibly good deal on this one. I spent around what was it, like 450 euros, I believe. So you can get them for very good prices, but that is more kind of a rare occasion. Absolutely understandable if you don't want to spend that amount of money on a plate carrier. There are actually a few replicas made by Idle Gear, for example, and also Amazon has one, I believe. They vary in prices a little bit and also in quality. They are in between 150 and 300 bucks, I believe. And as you can tell, the plate carrier has quite some attachments attached. So let's start with the shoulder pads. On the original, they are also Cry. The thing with the shoulder pads is, well, they are incredibly rare. They were made in very limited numbers, and getting those outside of the US, well, buddy, good luck on that. I have no idea what you have to pay for the real deal on those if you're able to get them. I can't tell you. Luckily, there are replicas available. These are made by Amazon. They look fantastic and go for around 60 bucks. So let's talk about the armor pads on the right arm. And, well, we have the same problem again. Like the shoulder pads, the arm protection is made by Cry and is very rare and hard to get. And I wasn't even able to find any offerings on the internet for the arm panels. The next problem is there are no replicas available, at least not to my knowledge. I took some reference material on those from the internet and yeah, I sew them myself. And again, I will share the reference material with my Patreons. On the arm armor, which is quite a weird chain of words, we have a few patches attached. The classic USAC and beer patches. And I wasn't able to find any patches that had the right size, so I made them myself. This is also a 3D model made by me, and those are 3D printed. And I will, you guessed it, release the STL files for my Patreons as well. And then we have the chain of dog tags, and each of those reads out night head eyes, stomped into the ground, farted on your dog. On the front we have an IR strobe attached. The original goes for a couple of $100. You can find them for like 30, I believe, on AliExpress, and the clone is completely fine. On the Velcro attached, we find the Goons patch, which is also custom copied and made by me. You know the drill. You find on the left side of the plate carrier, we find the PTT unit, which stands for Press to Talk. The original is called Tactical Command Industries, I believe, but you can get the clone like this one for like 15 bucks on Ali as well. If I recreate kits, I usually go for the real stuff, but for a video game, well, I am okay with the replicas. The same goes, of course, for the Harris radio. You can't even buy those legally in my country without the right permissions. So this one is also a replica without any functions. It's just decoration. I think that thing was also like peanuts. 5 peanuts, please. Next we have the M18 Smoke Green dummy grenade. Those are actually quite cool because if you pull the pin, they release the safety handle like this. Cool. If you have the ability to get your hands on actual M18 smoke grenades, well, feel free to go for real M18 smoke grenades. The phone case is made by Magpul, and in case you don't want to buy a phone case for a phone you don't have, well, Patreon, 3D printable. The front neck pouch is made by Blue Force, and it is made from some stretchable material. It actually works quite good and quite well. And I say front neck pouch because on the original character design you have another row of magazines behind the front mag pouch, but I don't have so many Scar magazines. I have no idea what the rear mag pouches are, you can't see them. Then we have a non-specific tactical emergency rescue pair of scissors. Jesus. And finally a North American rescue tourniquet. There are tons of replicas available. On the back of the plate carrier we find a 450mm bolt cutter. I have no idea what manufacturer Battlestate choose for their model, but there are a lot of no-names available, and I just went for a red one and painted it gray because I wasn't able to find one in gray. The bolt cutter holster is also something very exotic. I was literally only able to find pictures of that thing in a, I think, tactical Facebook group. So I did some quick googling, and the Facebook group is called Fundamental Tactical Training and Application. So yeah, I didn't bought that holster from mental tactical booty camp thing. So yeah, I made that thing myself. I used a piece of PVC and bended and manipulated it with a heat gun, and the cap or lid or whatever it is for the bolt cutter was designed and 3D printed by me. On the rear holster, the cap is made from Kydex, at least from what I can tell. Kydex is a very common material in knife making, for example, for sheaths and for gun holsters. I didn't have a piece here, so I just 3D printed it. It was way faster than ordering Kydex. And finally, we have two tan Cobra handcuffs on the back of the plate carrier. I only went for one because, well, I only had one. On the left arm, Knight wears one of those administration/card pouches. It has a window made from clear plastic. These are made by a few companies. I just went for a no-name one on Amazon because it is nearly impossible to tell what the original is. Alrighty, let's talk about the combat belt and the combat belt setup. Here I have to say, this is a different model which was not used on the original Knight kit, because the original Knight kit uses a Crye AVS low profile belt. The AVS belt has some variations and I was not able to find the correct version in time for this video, sadly. And this is why I went for an SRVV Survival Corps belt. It is not the same, but it looks close enough, and it was something that I had already at home. On the left side of the belt we have a 3 HSGI polymer taco magazine pouches. And I'm pretty sure some of you fellow gear sweat lords already can tell those are not original. Like I said, for video game kits I'm completely okay with that. Especially I will never use the polymer tacos for any other build or any other kit other than Knight. And that was the reason why I went for the replicas. Also because they are only 1/10 of the original price. The drop pouch on the other hand is an original one. This is a First Spear CSM drop pouch. I was actually quite amazed to see that the in-game model of the drop pouch on Knight also has that little orange tag right here included with the skull on there. That was quite a nice detail. On the back we have a 2-ring system with 4 glow sticks in yellow on each ring. The original Glock holster is a Safariland holster, if I remember correctly. I went for a Blackhawk one. I had it at home. And for me there was no real reason to spend another 150 to 200 bucks on a Safariland holster. Are you ready to cry again? Because the pants are made again from Crye. And those are Gen 3s, and the G3 Crye ROR2 camo G3s, Jesus Christ, are very expensive. We are talking in between 300 and 500 bucks, and they are quite rare in AOR2 and difficult to get outside from the US. But fear not, there are replicas available if you want to go the safe route when it comes to pricing and quality. Well, you can't do much wrong with Amazon or Idogear. You have to pay in between 70 and 120 bucks. We reached the very bottom. The boots. Those are Lover Cyphers. Very well known boots and awesome boots. I like them a lot and I used them for many different kits. You have to pay, well, depends on your location, in between 120 and 170 bucks for those. And just like that, we're done again, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you a ton. If you want to help this channel grow further, you can subscribe to my Patreon. I release pretty much after every video I release custom stuff there, tutorials, in-depth reviews, extra reference material, especially if we take closer looks at real steel kits, and a lot of 3D printable stuff that has to do with the kits we were talking about. If you're already a Patreon member, love you. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.